Self-checkouts at retail outlets aren't as much about a machine replacing a human cashier as they are a message to cashiers that any human can do your job. And that's just plain insulting. I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. New episodes of my weekly podcast pop every Thursday, wherever you get your podcasts, and on my YouTube channel. Each episode a topic, discussion, or story from our lives.
Season 9, Chapter 7.
Self-check-out.
When self-checkouts first started showing up in stores, I was against them. I refused to use them. Why should I have to check out my own groceries, especially at these prices? I deserve a little service. Plus, naively, I thought that my going through a staffed checkout lane was a good way of contributing to the survival of human interaction. Albeit a small effort, but more people should be like me, I thought, making an effort to have an exchange with a service person. A chance to shoot the breeze, show that you care. How are you? I am fine. Thanks for asking. Yes, it is hot enough for me. Oh no, you have a nice day. Enjoy your minimum wage job. What a fine human being I am. Was. Then one day the cashier was a jerk, and then the next time they were incompetent, and after that there was a long lineup. And then there it was, a self-checkout lane, completely open. Well, how hard could it be?
Welcome. Please scan your first item.
It wasn't. Scanning items was a piece of cake, including the piece of cake that I was buying. I'm never going back. I figured it out. The self in self-checkout doesn't just mean me, self. It means selfish. I don't have to deal with the cashier. The crapshoot that I might get a good one. I don't have to come up with small talk. No one is judging me that I just bought 3 boxes of Twinkies and a large pie. Oh, they're judging you. Don't kid yourself. Now, basically, I'm hooked on the self-checkout. Not just at the grocery store, but the Walmart, the dollar store, well, pretty much anywhere they have one. That's my choice. I choose me. Me will check me out. In general terms, the world does have a problem with automation and machines replacing people. At least we say we do. I get it. Look at Walmart. They have about 12,000 stores worldwide, and with self-checkouts, say they hire 10 less cashiers per store. Could be more or less, I don't know. I'm just trying to make the math a little easier. So suddenly 120,000 people have to look for other jobs. And let's say 10 other retailers also install the self-checkouts with similar numbers, and now over 1 million people have to look for alternative employment because there's no cashier jobs in the help wanted section. It's significant, but sometimes entire job categories just disappear due to progress, and hopefully new categories spring up to absorb them. No offense, cashiers. It's good, honest work. But look what your employer just told you. You scan a barcode, and then another machine adds the totals, accepts payment, basically does all the rest. The hand motion, just that hand motion of scanning, that's all that makes you a cashier. Hey, I can do that. Here's another thing. A good self-checkout machine can run a company about $200,000, and with minor maintenance is expected to last about 10 years. So that machine just cost you about $20,000 per year, much less than you would pay a cashier, especially one who will work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is just another reason self-checkouts are here to stay. It affects a company's bottom line. Then, of course, they pass those savings on to you. No, they don't. They save money to pay executive bonuses. Passing on savings is one of the biggest scams in retail. This tactic comes in many forms. The idea that somehow a retailer can give you less and that translates into savings. Well, sometimes maybe, and by sometimes, I mean rarely. Here's some of their key tactical language. No frills, food basics, big box, bulk, factory direct, warehouse outlet, inventory blowout. Oh, believe me, no one is passing savings on to you. No one is interested in you and me saving money. They just want you to spend money. And they'll do whatever it takes for you to do that, including deluding you into a notion that somehow you are saving money. Self-checkout doesn't save you money, it saves them money. And this, despite the fact that early self-checkout machines led to a sharp increase in theft, especially at the major stores. Theft so rampant that certain stores actually had to close until systems could be adjusted. Theft, or as we like to call it, shoplifting, is part of doing business. The bigger stores try to mitigate it as best as possible. You know, every once in a while, someone will set off the beeper as they are leaving the store. Self-checkouts, at least at first, just made shoplifting easier. Add other factors to the appearance of self-checkouts like COVID and inflation et al., and people who normally would not steal were also now stealing. People get this Robin Hood mentality. The store is the evil king trying to gouge you. They make billions of dollars and you're just trying to feed your family. Two early methods of beating the self-checkout machines were the pass-around and the switcheroo, aka banana trick, because apparently it was simplest to do with a banana. Pass-around was simply not scanning an expensive item, putting it directly into your bag. The switcheroo was simply taking a sticker or barcode of a lower-priced item and then placing it to cover a higher-priced item's sticker or barcode. It was a little more labor-intensive. $20 can of coffee gets purchased for the price of a 50-cent banana. And apparently this actually used to work. You know how the self-checkouts operate. Usually a store has at least a half a dozen of them, and maybe one attendant trying to keep an eye on several people and also help the challenged.
Please wait. Help is on the way.
They could be easily distracted by someone buying $10 worth of groceries. Yeah, I got a problem here. While a criminal partner, 2 machines over, scans a PlayStation for $2. Easy peasy. It's still shoplifting, except now when you're stealing, you're that much closer to the exit door. Self-checkouts had to and did improve their AI. They now can read the similarity of the item you scanned with the item you place in the bagging area.
Place your item in the bagging area. Each item must be placed in the bagging area.
Unexpected item in bagging area. A loud voice coming out of the machine. And then nothing else can happen until someone comes over to fix the mistake.
Please wait. Help is on the way.
What? Oh, a $30 pot roast? How did that get in there? I was just buying a roll of Lifesavers. I'm just not a thief. It's just not in my makeup. But I've thought about it. Let's face it, we all have at least thought about it, especially when there's no person there. I'm not stealing from a cashier, a person. I'm stealing from a machine, a big, heartless corporation machine. Well, after the millions and millions of dollars in increased thieved items that somehow grew legs and walked out of the store themselves, AI and retail have blocked almost all of these self-checkout loopholes. And failing that, for example, at my grocery store, it's just a quiet middle-class suburban neighborhood, they've hired burly uniformed security guards. 1 or 2 of them walk the aisles, the other stands guard at the self-checkout. The only reason that self-checkout took so long at the retail level was the tech. They had to improve the tech. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have phased out cashiers years ago. I mean, we've had self-serve gas stations for well over 50 years. They really started this trend, didn't they? There was an assumption made that, anyone can use a gas pump. And today, mostly everyone can, even if they can't remember which side of the car their gas tank is on. And how many people still don't know that if you forget which side, or it's a rental car or something, there's a little arrow right on your gas gauge that tells you what side it's on. Anyway, suddenly we didn't have gas station attendants. You had to pump your own gas, squeegee your own windows. As far as checking your oil, well, forget about it, don't bother. We'll just come up with an idiot light on the console that tells you when to check your oil. Otherwise, don't bother trying to find a dipstick. Interesting, too, that dipstick has become a descriptor for someone not smart enough to, say, check their own oil. As the full-service station disappeared, it gave rise to other businesses, an entire chain dedicated to checking and changing your oil, or looking at your transmission, rotating your tires, so forth. The homeless kids took over the squeegee your windshield business. All you had to do was put in your gas and do it yourself. Theft is also an issue here. They call it the gas and dash. Interesting that the solution to this is so simple. No gas pump will work until you pay first. And the simplest way of that is pay right at the pump. They have this, they do this, but not full on all around every time. You know why? Because gas stations themselves don't make a high margin on the sale of gasoline. They want you inside paying for fuel so that you might also pick up some Coca-Colas and Doritos. They can make more money that way. Whenever I think of self-serve gas stations, I'm always reminded about my old friend, comedian Simon Rakoff. He had this great joke about self-serve gas. He used to say, the other day I pulled into a self-serve gas station. They told me it was my turn to clean the washrooms. I always loved that joke, and I always thought that one day that actually might come true. It could be like Shell's corporate policy. Even today, I think of that joke as I check out my groceries, because I always want to stop in the middle and just stand there for like 10 minutes until I hear, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing there? Move along." And then I could say, "Sorry, I am my own cashier, and right now I'm on break." Which also gets me wondering about something else at the self-checkout lane at the grocery store, because most of the cashier aisles have racks and racks of Kit Kats and O-Henrys, and chewing gum and Tic Tacs and magazines. Those last-second impulse buys while you're just standing there watching the cashier scan items. Maybe that's why a lot of cashiers don't make small talk. They're told not to. Don't distract the customer from thinking about buying more stuff. I'd be willing to wager that with increased self-checkout and increased popularity of them, sales of those impulse items are way down. You're probably not selling as many coffee crisps and People magazines, are you? I think that's probably the next thing coming. More racks of impulse items right at the self-checkout. At least at the grocery store, the dollar stores, they got it right. They wind you through a bank-style lineup that is filled with last-minute items. So we're pumping our own gas, we're checking out our own retail transactions, we're doing most of the work, receiving no salary and no savings. How many other things do we have to do ourselves these days? Well, with the digital age and the internet, quite a few. You don't really need to stand in line at most government service centers anymore. You apply online. Renew online. Hey, do your own taxes online. Easy. Steps 1, 2, 3. We'll guide you through it. Don't need a teller. Do your own banking. Be your own broker. Sell your own house. There's a whole DIY movement. Do it yourself. And if you're not sure how, hey, there's a YouTube video. Ah yes, tab A into slot B, then bolt C. How about news and information gathering? Each news service has its bias, its budget, its resources, its target audience. Can you get full service news? No, you got to do it yourself. Geez, one would think that would be a better system. How come it's not? Do it all yourself. It's like all of society has split from the idea of a sit-down restaurant where you order and someone brings you a meal to this concept of a large buffet. Just get up and serve yourself. Speaking of food, heck, you can go into McDonald's today and you order from a screen. You pay with a couple of swipes or a tap. Maybe a real person hands you a bag of burgers, and maybe not. At some fast food places, they just hand you a cup. You have to fill your own beverage. Basically, today, organizations are looking at any service that they provide and are trying to figure out, A, if a machine could do it, or even easier and cheaper, B, you do it yourself. You do it. This made me think about the motto on almost every police car of every police service in North America: to serve and protect. What if the police go self-serve? You be the police. Well, that's crazy. Well, no, hold on. In the U.S., it's already happened. They call themselves militia. Everyone and their kid has 2 guns. Many states have these stand-your-ground laws. In other words, it's legal for you to respond with lethal force if you feel threatened. And who decides on the severity of the threat? Well, I guess mostly you do. Were you really threatened? Who cares? What does that matter? I thought I was. This just happened recently. 2 moms in Florida, neighbors, have a dispute about noise from one of their kids. One mom goes unarmed to knock on the door of the other to ask, "What's your problem?" The woman in the house shoots and kills the neighbor through the door. Now, at this point, we don't know whether she'll get off scot-free or not, but she's been released on bond with a pretty good defense according to the law. Stand your ground. It's the self-serve police. Do it yourself. I know. Somehow I got from checking out my own cans of wieners and beans to some social problem with gun control and law enforcement. Well, isn't it all connected? Self-checkout, self-serve, online banking, do-it-yourself, stand your ground, you do it. You are the service personnel of you. Don't like the service? No one to blame but yourself. I really like the self-checkout now. It has really grown on me. I know that I'm going to miss the great human connection and strong bond that I could make with a cashier. But I'm willing to sacrifice that for convenience. Self-serve gas, it's been around for well over 50 years. It's just a fact of life now. Actually, about 5 years ago, I was in this small town and I pulled up at this small gas station, no familiar signage, it looked independent. And a guy ran out and says, "What'll it be?" Fill her up? Is that what they used to say? I ended up just sitting there being uncomfortable and suspicious, wondering if he really was fillering her up. Was he overcharging me? Man, talk about being conditioned. As far as the other self things, I will do some stuff online, but any money issues like taxes or banking, whenever possible, I like to include a live in-person person. It's probably a generational thing. I just figure it's money. If something screws up, it's better to have an eyewitness account, another human, rather than just me and a machine. Speaking of which, here's a quick aside. I did some in-person banking on a weekend, with a teller, and she said these transactions will take 2 business days. What the? We're in the 21st century. What's a business day? First of all, you are open on Sunday. You and much of the retail world is actually doing business on a Sunday. How is that not a business day? Doesn't it count as a business day when people all over the world are working all kinds of jobs at all kinds of hours and doing business? Plus, you just entered a few keystrokes into a machine that will send this information to another machine. Are you telling me the machine doesn't work Sundays? And that after that, it'll take 2 whole days to send these few keystrokes to that other machine? What are you, on dial-up? Business days. In the self-service world, we get things done a lot quicker. I don't mind doing 1 or 2 things myself, but a lot of times I would like service. Sir, No one is in line at the self-surgery appendix removal aisle if you're in a hurry. No, that's okay. I'll just wait for the cashier. Doctor. Well, same thing. Speaking of medical, when I first heard the term self-checkout, I thought it would be a great euphemism for suicide. I'm checking out. Self-checking out. Goodbye, cruel world. And that would not be confused with, of course, assisted suicide, or the much more pleasant-sounding assisted dying. Assisted suicide is almost an oxymoron, isn't it? Yes, you can kill yourself, but not by yourself. I'll help you out. Suddenly it's like you made a mistake at the self-checkout machine. It's beeping. You need some assistance.
Please wait. Help is on the way.
Assisted suicide is a self-checkout. But it's like you're saying, hey, I'll check myself out, but I'm going to need some help loading the groceries.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.